Hello, welcome to the Hawthorn Cottage Craft podcast. Today is Tuesday the 6th of April 2021 and this is episode 46. I'm Kate. You can find me on Instagram as Kate_Hawthorn Cottage Craft, on Ravelry as a runner bean, and we have a Ravelry group for the podcast called Hawthorn Cottage Craft Podcast. You can also find me on Ko-fi where you can support the podcast if you would like to do so. All the links to where you can find me are in the description box below the video, and that is where you will also find the show notes for this episode with links to patterns and tutorials. Most of my patterns are on Ravelry, and I'm aware at the moment that a lot of people are not using Ravelry, and where I've been able to find them, I've put the links to other spots that you can find some of the patterns. I haven't been able to find them all, but some of them I've found elsewhere, and they'll all be linked. If you're new here, you are very welcome. It is lovely to see you and to have your company today. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, hit the subscribe button and maybe the little bell button so that you're notified of when there will be new episodes. And if you're a returning viewer, it is lovely to have you back. It's always a pleasure to have your company and to share in some knitting time. We have hit a few milestones in the podcast and our community has grown so much, and we are rapidly approaching another one, and hopefully in the next while I'll be able to do another little thank you for that. So if you haven't already, hit the bell button. Even if you're a long time subscriber, hit the little bell button and you'll see when that comes up. Thank you all for your support. It has been lovely in the past few weeks, meeting so many new people and reading all your comments and feedback on both the Coffee with Kate and the episodes, regular podcast episodes. I'm delighted with how well received Coffee with Kate has been, and I'm glad you've enjoyed the tour of the sweaters and the craft room and the needles and things like that. Quite a lot to get through today. We have the roundup of a KAL and the first quarter of another KAL, another knit along, and I have some prizes to announce, some winners to announce. So I hope you have your cuppa. I have a lovely cup of coffee on this spring day that has seen quite a lot of snow. We didn't have much snow over the winter, and we have now hit spring with all the spring flowers and days of sunshine and warmth, and today it has been snowing. So I have my coffee to keep me warm. So the knit along for the Knitting the Books KAL crochet along knit along ended at the end of March, on the 31st of March, and it has been wonderful to see all the entries that were posted for things that you have knit and crochet, small things, big things, but that have been taken from the books that you've had stashed away and on your shelves for quite a long time. It was such a joy for me even to work through mine and to get ideas, and you saw my image and tea on the last episode that I knit from the Matter anthology, book 1 by Carrie Bostic Hogue, and there have been so many books mentioned in the finished objects thread that there are many more now on my list, which probably isn't a good thing. I'm trying to work through these. But thank you to everybody who took part in that. Your projects were beautiful and I hopefully have liked them all. And if you're looking for inspiration for things to knit or for books to get, if you want to add to your library, it's worth going over to the finished objects thread on Ravelry and having a look through what everyone has done. But without further ado, I'd like to announce the two winners of that knit along. The first winner is going to receive this bag that was donated by Harriet from Harriet Wildwood Stitches, and her shop or her Instagram page I will link in the show notes. It was this beautiful bag made with Harris tweed and a lovely Highland cow in the front and some thistle fabric in the lining. These are beautiful bags. I have a little bag with a cottage on it, and it's just such a well-made bag. So there was this that was donated by Harriet, and a viewer had donated this beautiful skein of yarn from Baerenwolle in Sheep's Clothing. It's their cognac colourway, and they're bare sturdy sock yarn, fingering weight, and it's superwash Blueface Leicester. So this was the first prize to be pulled, and I used a random number generator, and the number that was pulled for this was number 5, and that's Emma from M's Little Nest, and I'll put that just down along the screen here. And Emma had knit a pair of oxbow socks from Drop Dead Easy Knits. So this will be on its way to Emma in New Zealand. And the other winner, I don't want to take this out of the bag, but was this beautiful bag. Sorry for the loud crinkling. And skein of yarn, and that was donated from Bead Sisters and Blueberry Chick Yarns. And the winner of that was Gran Lou, who is Anna, and it was post number 124, and it was a pair of mittens from the unofficial Harry Potter knits book. So those are the prize winners, those two ladies, Anna and Emma, and congratulations, your knits were beautiful, and it's just, as I said, lovely to see all the different ideas that we've been given from everyone's projects. If the two winners could contact me with a direct message through Ravelry or Instagram and let me know your postal details, and I'll get those prizes in the post to you as soon as possible. And thank you to everyone who donated prizes. Keep knitting from your books and let me know what you're knitting, and we can keep this going on officially if you want, and just I'll leave the chatter thread open if people want to continue to share their ideas and what they're knitting there from the books that they have. So that was the Knitting the Books KAL. There's another prize that I'm going to announce later on, and that is for the other knit along that is still running, the Lucky Dip KAL, but we'll get to that in a little minute. Before that, we will talk some of the knitting that I have been doing and that I have got finished. I have 2 finished objects this week, and I'm wearing one of them. I finished my GAN Vest, and I love this. It came off the blocking mats the other day, and I couldn't wait to get wearing it. So this is my GAN Vest. Isn't it just lovely? And the GAN Vest is a pattern by Albina McLaughlin, who is LBHandknits. And I loved knitting this project. It was a quick project to knit. It's knit in Nua worsted weight yarn, which is a yarn by Carol Feller, Stolen Stitches. And I've knit with this before. I've knit with the sport weight. And this yarn is a mix of yak, linen and merino, so it is very, very soft. It is very, very plump, and it felt as though it knit up really, really quickly and almost knit itself. But the actual pattern means without. GAN is the Gaelic word for without, and I really felt that it was a very appropriate name. And the blurb for the pattern, Albina says that it's a trend. It doesn't follow a trend. It's a very neutral, trend neutral. It's a trend neutral piece. And that is true. And to me, it was without limits. She gives a lot of options for the edging on the sleeves and the collar and the hem, and for different shapes to fit different body types. And so for me, it was really without limits, and I chose to do the lace. And the lace pattern round the bottom of this and round the edging, to me, just was a very, very pretty edge to it. It took away from what could have been a very plain piece. I liked the plain version of it too, but I wanted something that I could dress up or dress down and wear more casually. And I felt that by putting the little bit of lace on the edges, that covered that remit for me. Just the combination of this pattern and the colour for me meant that I could wear it with jeans. The colourway is Late Night Blues, and it is a very denim blue colour. I don't know if it's coming out really on the screen as well. I knit this on a 4.5mm needle, so as I said, it knit up very, very quickly. Beautiful neutral piece. It was worked top down, and what it started with was a provisional cast on, and I think I'd said the last time I was a little bit nervous of the provisional cast on, and I had to use a tutorial on YouTube to create that, and I link that below. And the tutorial also talks about how to unzip and take out the provisional cast on at the end, and I really needed that because I was very worried about the first couple of stitches. But I managed it. The first one that I took off, I think, was on the neckline, and I was a bit nervous of that and wasn't sure how well it was going to work, but it worked out okay. I can't remember if it was the back or the front, but it was clearly explained on the tutorial. Very Pink Knits, if you're not aware, has a range of tutorials on just about anything you can think of in knitting, and they're very, very well explained, so I've linked that. I used that to pick up my stitches again, and it worked really well. I had no problems, and I certainly would use it again. It was used at the neckline, and it was used in the underarm just for the bottom stitches, and then you had to pick up for the rest of it. So I'm really, really pleased with this. There's nothing much more to say about it. It's just a simple piece, and it can be styled in lots of ways. Because of the lace, I like wearing something quite plain under it, so I just have a long white shirt underneath it. It was meant to be slightly more cropped than it was, but I give it an extra inch or two in length because I don't like things that are too cropped on my short torso. Makes it look shorter, so I just put a wee bit of length to it, and I am absolutely over the moon with this project. So that was the first finished object, and I think this is going to get a lot of wear now over the spring. It is warm in that it's got the merino in it, and it is very plump, but it's not so warm that, particularly in this kind of weather, I can't wear now at this time of year. Actually today I could almost do with sleeves. But it's beautiful and I love it, and I'm looking forward to getting to wear it now that I've shown it to you. So that was the first finished object. The second finished object was from the Lucky Dip KAL. My March entry for the Lucky Dip was a pair of socks. And the last time I had one done and was on the second, but I now have a pair. Haven't worn them yet. And I'm delighted with these. They are such a spring-like colour, and I love it. So this was yarn from Arctic Crafts, and Benty has a beautiful range of yarn if you want to go and have a look at her shop. And I bought this a couple of months before Christmas, I think. And it was a smaller skein. It wasn't a full 100 grams, and then a mini. So I don't have that much left of it, and it was just perfect. For me, I don't usually use a full 100 gram skein at any point. I would maybe use 60 grams, maybe, of a 100 gram fingering weight skein of yarn. So this was perfect. And as usual, I knit top down. It was a 2x2 rib, 64 stitches. 2.5mm US 1.5 needle, which is my go-to needle. So it was a 2x2 rib, and then I did a split rib pattern. And as I said in the last episode, the pattern is very similar to two patterns that are available. One is it's a pattern by KF Jones, the crunkled socks, and the blueberry waffle socks as well. So I've linked both of those in the description box below. One is a paid for pattern and one is free. But it's just a split. It's very hard to see with the heavy variegation in the yarn, but it's just a split rib and off. So where I do 2x2, knit 2, purl 2, and then I did a couple of plain rows, then I started the next row, purl 2, knit 2. So it just puts it off each time. I think you can just about see it there. And I knit a slightly shorter leg for the spring, and it's my normal heel flap and gusset, and my rounded toe with the little bit of contrast colour. And this colourway is Grab Your Drink. So I'm thrilled with this. It's superwash merino nylon, and they're lovely soft socks. So those will get into rotation now that they're finished. So that was the March entry of the Lucky Dip KAL, and I'll show you April's in a few minutes. But at the end of March, I drew for the first quarter for a prize winner for the Lucky Dip KAL. So many people have entered this KAL, and it's wonderful to see all the entries for that as well. What you need to do, or if you're new to this and this is this information is new to you, I'll put a link to the video that introduces the knit along. Obviously it deals with the 2 knit alongs that have been running. Ignore the knitting the books bit, it's done. But the Lucky Dip KAL is running from now, it has been running from the 1st of January and will run through to the 31st of December this year. And basically what it was to take any of your random single skeins. It can be fingering weight, it can be double knitting, it can be Aran, worsted, sport weight, but no more than 100 grams in a skein. And you were to put the skeins, obviously if you started at the beginning of January, you could have had 12 skeins for the year, so 1 per month. Put them in a bag so that you can't see what's in it, and then just do a lucky dip draw at the beginning of each month. You don't have to take part every month. A lot of people have been concerned about taking part every month. You don't have to, it doesn't matter, but you're only allowed to enter 1 finished object per month in the finished objects thread, and that's over on Ravelry. So you had the chance to be entered 12 times for the full year, or as many, no more than 12 times is what I'm trying to say. But it can be just, even if you only enter once, you can do that as well. That doesn't matter. Obviously, the more you're in, the more chance you have to win. But anyway, what I'm doing is at the end of each quarter, there will be a prize drawn. So I'm about to announce the first quarter from January to March, and then there'll be another draw at the end of June, and so on. And then at the end of December, there'll be the 4th quarter draw plus a grand prize, where I will draw from the entire year again for that. But anyway, the prize for this was yarn that I spotted and could not resist and had to get for you, and it's from Lay Family Yarn. And I think these colours are lovely coming into the spring and summer, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, of course. And it's called Succulent Garden. And you could almost say it's slightly autumnal if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, with the pop of orange. And it's superwash merino nylon, and I just think this colourway is beautiful. And the winner of this is Linda, who's Try Linda on Ravelry. It was the Newport Beach cowlet, so a small cowl. And this is for you, Linda. So that was a beautiful project with your single skein of yarn. I also pulled a winner from the Instagram hashtag, so make sure you're posting pictures of your works in progress, finished objects on Instagram. If you are on Instagram, put the hashtag Lucky Dip KAL, and I will draw each quarter from that as well, 1 prize. And the winner of this was Knitting Chick 727, who is Beth, and it was was it socks that you had knit, I think. And your prize is a pattern from JP Knits 1 on Instagram and Ravelry. Jackie Perrotta very kindly donated a pattern of your choice. She has 7 or 8 patterns, I think, on Ravelry of socks and shawls, and you can choose one of those. So Beth, if you could let me know that you have seen this, and I'll pass your details on to Jackie, and then you can get in touch with her as well. I'll put the link to her Ravelry page and Instagram, and you can connect there and get your pattern. And if Linda could let me know, if you could let me know your postal address on either Ravelry or Instagram in a direct message. So that is the prize, as I said, for the first quarter, and resetting for April to June. Make sure you've got all your, as we go along each month, make sure you've got your finished objects put up on the thread so that we can pull again in June for another prize. And there's a really nice prize for June, and I'm looking forward to passing that one on, and I'll let you know more about it in the coming weeks. So what have I moved on to for the Lucky Dip KAL? What am I working on now myself? So I drew the bag, or James as per usual drew it for me. And what came out is definitely a colour that's not in my comfort zone. This is Deep Stash from 2016, 2017. And this was a skein of yarn that I had bought for Amy when she had decided she would like to try and knit socks. But she has moved on from that, unfortunately. And she gave me the skein, and it had gone back up into the cupboard before I put together my little bag of goodies for the Lucky Dip KAL. So when I drew this, as I said, it was outside my comfort zone, and I wasn't sure what to knit. And you'll see why. It's just very bright for me, but very beautiful. And it's this skein. So this is Baerenwolle, and I don't think they dye anymore. I'm not sure. I'll put the details of this below, but I'm not sure if they're actually dyeing anymore. And this was their barefoot sock, and it was superwash merino and polyamide, so merino nylon. And the colourway was Berry Balm. And these were very much Amy's colours at the time. And I did consider knitting socks with this, but I really wasn't feeling the socks. This time I thought, I don't think I could get through a full pair of socks with this. So I wasn't sure what to do. And I think I put out a question on Instagram. Should I knit socks or should I knit something else? Now I have to say the majority of people didn't side with me, and the majority of people I think sided for socks, but I really wasn't feeling socks. And it was suggested, my friend Jean on Instagram had suggested the Worth the Fuss shawl by Louise Tilbrook, and when I went to have a look at that, it was perfect. And I thought I'll try this, and I have a friend who does like these colours, and it's her birthday in May, so I'm going to try and get this done for her. And the fact that it's in the range of a monthly knit along, it means I'll keep pushing on to get it done. And I'm really enjoying this pattern actually, and it's working up very quickly. So it's the Worth the Fuss shawl by Louise Tilbrook, and it is available on Payhip. It's not available on Ravelry. She has all her patterns on Payhip, and I've linked that below. But this is where I have got to. So it's just a little crescent, almost like a scarf shawl. I don't even know if you would call it a crescent. It's more of a wedge, as you'll see from the photograph that I've inserted. But it's beautiful. It's garter stitch and then a little bit of eyelet. And that'll really pop once it's blocked. The eyelets will open up. And I'm really pleased with how it's knitting up. It is a very relaxing knit. It's knit on a 4mm needle, which is quite big for fingering weight. So that's a US 6. And I'm pleased with it. I would sit and knit when I'm watching the telly, when I'm knitting this. I had started it as my morning knit, and I have knit a little bit of it in the morning, but as you'll see later, I did go back to socks. But this is my relaxing. I have a few relaxing knits on at the minute, which is lovely. Really, really enjoying it. And it's knitting up really, really nicely. So that won't take me too long at all. It's a 4-row repeat. So it's very easily memorised, and then the eyelet is a very easy pattern as well. So this is a lovely pattern if you're new to shawl knitting. I would recommend this highly for that. And it's got a lovely stretchy edge. I can be quite tight when it comes to the edging of shawls, and this one, the pattern is making sure that it's not, and it's got a lovely bit of stretch in it. So I'm really, really pleased with how it's knitting up. As I said, it wasn't within my comfort zone for colour, but it was definitely worth the fuss with this shawl. Another shawl that I cast on is living in this bag that I received at Christmas from my friend Shirley. We were students together, and she knits as well, and she made this beautiful bag. And I have cast on the Karuna shawl. If you are not aware, there is a new podcast, a relatively new podcast out called Knit My Way Home, and it's a mother and daughter pair who are hosting this, Loretta and Natalia, and it's just a lovely, heartwarming podcast. It's lovely to see a new generation of knitters coming up, and a very talented knitter coming up. She's trying projects that as adults we're trying out, and it's just lovely to see that confidence showing in somebody so young. And it's set in the Yukon, and the scenery is stunning, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, relaxing and inspiring podcast. So go and check that out. But they are hosting a knit along for the Karuna shawl, and I'm going to put the name of it and the name of the designer underneath. I'm not even going to attempt, because I will wreck her name, but I'll put the designer's name here. And this is what I have done so far. So it's a triangular style shawl, and it started in the middle here and is working its way out. So there's increases in the central spine and increases at the sides and alternate rows. And it's a garter stitch. So again, it's another relaxing knit. And then when you get so far, there's a more detailed lace edging. And this knit along started on the spring equinox. So a couple of weeks ago at the end of March, and it's running until the summer solstice in June. And hopefully I'll have it finished within that time, but it's a very rhythmic knit, and I think you would enjoy it. The yarn that I'm using is Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company, and it's a limited edition that Emma dyed last year, the year before. I'm not actually even sure if this is dyed. I think this might be the natural yarn, and it's 100% Jacob. So it's a very, very earthy, woolly wool. It certainly wouldn't be a next to skin garment wool, I would think. I would probably wear it as a layering piece if I was knitting a garment, but it is perfect for this shawl, and it'll be a really cozy, warm shawl. So it's a fingering weight pattern, and I'm knitting it on, I think these are 4s. Didn't write it down. They're 3.75mm needles. And I'm using Chaigu for a change. So a couple of shawls on the go that they're just a nice relaxing break. The last couple of weeks, because it's the Easter holiday and the Easter break here, I want things that are relaxing to work on, because oh, I have one other small project that I must show you before I show you the last one, because the last one has a tail. It's a tail. Excuse me. As I said, I hadn't been feeling the socks when I saw the Lucky Dip yarn this time, but I missed my socks in the morning. And a few weeks ago I had bought or had seen, and then I bought the new pattern from Marceline Smith, who is Hey Brown Berry, you all know her as Marce, and she had created a pattern called the Navigate socks, and I had bought that and I thought, those are the socks I want to knit, because I want to work on my toe-up socks. As you know, I generally work top down. I've knit a few pairs of toe-up socks and I just wanted to work on those. And because I now have my new sock blocker from Yarnworks, I wanted to try it out because I think it'll be easier for me to figure out where to start my gusset increases, which was always the concern when I was knitting toe-up. So I had this beautiful yarn. It's the same yarn that was in the giveaway package that was won at the start of the episode, in my little bag from Bead Sisters and Blueberry Chick Yarns. This is how this yarn knits up. And I had a contrast colour from my little heels, toes and cuffs. And I cast this on yesterday, and this sock is knitting itself. It really is. I like knitting socks, but I'm not a particularly fast sock knitter. But this is whizzing up. It was Judy's Magic Cast On, which is something I always have to look up because I very rarely knit toe up. And I link the tutorial for that. I think it was a Very Pink Knits tutorial. And I did my Judy's Magic Cast On, did my toe increases for the wedge, and then started this really lovely pattern. It's like arrows, or all pointing in a direction for navigating. But it's a very simple but very effective pattern, and it's very easily memorized once you get going on the first one. The pattern's very, very easy to work. It is available on Ravelry. It is available in Marce's Etsy store, and it was also published in the Knit by Hand serial number 13 as well. So those are all the places, and they're all linked below. So the joy of my sock blocker, if the cables can stay out of the way, is that I can see now where I'm at with this sock. I have a little bit more to go. I think I've just started a new repeat, so I think I'll be about halfway up that, and then I can start to work my increases when I get to here. So this is a fabulous, for me it's more a ruler than a sock blocker, and just measuring out where I need to start my increases. It's adjustable for the size of foot, and you have a list of the sizes here and what length they need to be. So you just adjust it with this. So this is set for my foot size. So I now know exactly where to start my increases, and it is, as I said, a joy knitting this pattern. It is whizzing up, and I would say I'll be working through this quite quickly. And I love the pops of colour. Again, it's at my 2.5mm needle, US 1.5. So it's the Navigate socks by Marceline Smith by Hey Brown Berry. Right, the last project I want to talk about today is the Forager Sweater. I had finished this, and I had started my Karuna shawl, and I had also started to work on this new sweater. It's a sweater by Isabel Kramer. I love all her patterns. You will have seen that I've knit some of her patterns before. I think she just creates a really beautiful style. It's a very classic style, timeless. And I really, really love this sweater. And I had this yarn in stash, another one of my favourites, Roots and Rain, and this is her Storm DK. It's naturally dyed yarn from Ottawa. This is a Corriedale Merino Cross, 100% wool, and it's dyed with black walnut. And it's just this beautiful soft shade of brown. And I've had this now for a couple of years. I had bought it and then picked it up when I was over there and wasn't sure what to do with it. And when I saw the Forager Sweater, I thought this is perfect. So I got the pattern started. I had just joined in the round, and this is knit in a 4mm needle. I wanted, again, something fairly quick, and this is how far I've got. And there's a beautiful mock cable, so you don't need a cable needle, which is a joy because a cable needle slows me down. Or if I'm trying to knit cables without a cable needle, that slows me down as well. But this is a mock cable, so very, very easy to do. And it features on the sleeves and down the middle and down the back. So this is how far I've got. And I have lots of stitch markers in to show where the shoulders are and work from that. But this is what you're going to see me do today. I have to rip it out, which is really, really sad. And I'm going to have to start it again. I'm just going to have to pull. What happened was I was going very well. It's quite the pattern. A lot of Isabel Kramer's patterns are quite wordy, and because there are so many markers for the different sections at the start, once you get down the pattern it's okay, but particularly at the beginning when you are still creating and you've just cast on all your stitches and you're getting the shape and getting the places and marking the places where everything will be, you really, really have to concentrate on the pattern. And I thought I had, whoops, everything's fallen. I thought I had, but look, I'm having to rip it out. I never thought I would do this on camera. My numbers are all wrong. The back is okay, the shoulders are okay, but I must have missed a couple of the increases in the front, and my numbers are all wrong in the front, so it was going to be a really odd shape. Not enough that I could fluff, and because I was only this far in, this actually doesn't distress me too much. So I'm ripping all this out again, and this evening I am intending to cast it on again because it's a beautiful, beautiful sweater. And instead of concentrating on 2 or 3 things at one time, I'm going to really, really concentrate to get the right numbers. I obviously had started okay, but I had missed quite a few increases, and I don't know how or where, but I did. So here we go. That's a work in progress. Not necessarily the type that you normally see here, but it happens, and I can't wait to get it back on again and get it going. And hopefully by the next time I talk to you, I'll not be doing anything as radical as pulling the needles out of a project in front of you. I will be well down it. So there's a lot on the needles at the moment, and I have had a serious case of the cast-ons, I think, and I really just now need to settle down and knit what I have here and not cast on anything else, because I'll become overwhelmed. The cast-on bug is lovely to get, and it's really exciting, but then I would tend to get overwhelmed if I have too much on the needles, and we're just bordering on that at the minute. But as I said, I'm enjoying them at the moment, and I'll just keep working through them. And hopefully by the next time I'll have at least 2 finished objects amongst that group. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, this quick jaunt through what I'm working on at the moment. And thank you so much for watching and supporting. And thank you for taking part in the knit-alongs. Keep adding to the Lucky Dip KAL. If you have any queries about anything that I've been working on, or any of the knit-alongs, if there are any other questions, if there's anything that is unclear or I've been unclear about anything, just drop me a note on Instagram. I'm usually on Instagram, and I do pick up my messages on Ravelry. So just feel free to contact me or drop a comment below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer you. Until I see you again, I hope you have a lovely time knitting and just relaxing and finding joy in what you're working on, and I'll talk to you very soon.